Hey guys!
Hey, welcome to episode 2 of the It's Fine vlogcast video.
Because it's what we do.
Hey, so my 12-year-old daughter was like, Mom, you're a YouTuber! I was like, girl, I got one video on YouTube. So I just want y'all to know that we're YouTubers, and with the 12-year-old girls, like, we're kind of getting cool. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah. So. But on that note, I want to tell every single one of you, thank you so much for watching last week. It just meant so much to us to see our tribe just coming behind us because you guys know our stories. You know what has gone on with us for the most part. Some of you don't, but you'll know by the time that we're done with all this madness.
Are we ever going to be done? Like, are we ever really going to be done?
Never, ever.
Ever. So, it's just funny. So, yes, thank you for just the encouragement, the feedback, the comments, the suggestions about what to talk about. Yeah. It's really cool to see how people are just encouraged by just the real, fresh vulnerability, like the cat and the phone's ringing, which, by the way, they're both on Do Not Disturb.
They are on Do Not Disturb.
A lesson. But I was just really surprised at my reaction, and I'm just going to jump in.
Do it.
My reaction. We didn't know going into this. Like we said all last week, we didn't know what we were doing, and she was the activator, and I'm just like, so I kept trying to put a label on it or put parameters or define what we're doing, and finally last week we just jumped in for it. Like, that's what we did. And so the more feedback I got, it kind of connected with what I was feeling in my heart, and I felt free. Like, we don't know what we're doing, we don't know where we're going, we're just coming here, hitting record on the conversations that we were already having. And I could take a deep breath and not having to put labels again or confines on what we're doing. It just feels free. And so I'm glad and thankful that we're doing this together. We've got people from like my chiropractor, my workout group, like at 5:40 in the morning. I've got friends from, hey Mom, my siblings, it's just so cool just to have our community together, and just encouraging one another and keep sharing if there's anything that touches you or that really speaks to you. Keep sharing. We're going to grow this family. But honestly,
hit share right now.
No, well, yeah, hit share.
You don't even know what we're going to talk about. It may embarrass you, but go ahead and share it.
It might be a porta potty about to get hit onto.
Oh, it's definitely.
Yeah.
Porta potty on the highway, 80 miles per hour.
Just stuff flying. Anyway, so just thank you for that. I don't know where I was going, so.
Yeah.
How I felt this week. Felt free, felt good. Just the joy of being able to talk with friends is great. So, anyway, that's kind of something I wanted to say.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
Thank you. It was
so awesome.
Thanks for letting me say it.
Sometimes we go dark on here.
The screen went dark, but they can't see that.
Oh, we don't go dark. Wait, do we go dark?
I'm always dark.
We might go dark.
I'm always dark.
I see what you did there, but you're only 33%.
This girl knows my 23andMe DNA test results. Anyway,
she's Greek, y'all.
I'm Greek. I'm half black, half Greek. There's some of you out there wondering what kind of brown. I am brown like my coffee, like Shannon's coffee. This is my color right there. Yeah. See? Yep. Anyway,
I have brown too.
Yeah, it's
I'm very speckly. Can you see that? Very speckly. When I was a kid, I hated my speckles.
Yeah.
They were the source of a lot of pain. Yeah. But now I'm just like, what would I be without my speckles?
You know what? You bring up a great point. Can I just take for a second? So last week, when we recorded the video, then we hit stop and then we hit play to watch, like we're watching. So we're watching. It was like 30 minutes and we're watching. And as we're watching it, in my brain, I'm like, I got too much chin, and like, why are my eyes so skinny? And here's my hair and all this stuff. I'm like, and this is all in my head. So Shannon's like, she's sitting there, she's like, I'm judging myself so hard right now. And I'm like, that is so real. Like, that is how we do. And so, how can you record yourself and put it out there? And I'm like, not without picking myself apart. But that's not where it stayed. And so it's just like, no, we did a thing. This is who I am.
It was like, man, we suck. Hit send.
Quick, share it. Put a label to it. Find a picture. You have to create a page. Oh my gosh. Open up a YouTube channel. Anyway, so it's just as funny. Again, we're vulnerable, we're real, we're all this stuff, and we're like, look at how many chins do I really have?
I know, and I'm having a bad hair day today, and I'm just like, whatever, let's just do this.
Yeah, anyway. So, you brought up something earlier I wanted
to last week when we talked about, just growing and about how, when you look back last year, you're hoping you're not the same person. You're hoping that you're getting better every single year. And I know I've had some years where I look back and I'm like, I have not made one step forward. Yeah. I'm actually a worse person today than I was this time last year. But I don't know about you guys, but every single morning I wake up to my Facebook memories. That's the first thing I do is I look at the memories because I'm in a season of life where I'm coming out of a trauma and I want to see where I'm at in my healing. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I saw this morning when I opened up my memories was there was a meme that I had put up about starting again. And about being ready to start again. Because a lot of us want to start again. It's the desire of our heart. We really want that fresh start, but our hearts are not connected with making it happen. And I could just hear in my post that I had put on Facebook that my heart had finally connected. Yeah. I was ready. I was ready to take those grave clothes off and just start taking that first step and just moving forward. And I know for me, and I mentioned a little bit of this last week, is that there were times in this year that I felt like I was just going backwards. I mean, just completely backwards. But the thing about that is I was still moving forward. It's just that sometimes it just looks messy. Mm-hmm. It just looks messy. Have you, so like for me, when I clean out a closet, I take everything out of the closet. I destroy the room that the closet is in because everything from the closet is all in the room. Mm-hmm. And then you start putting the pieces back. Yeah. And then when you're done, it just looks so clean and organized and all the things. Well, that's what this year has been for me. Mm-hmm. It's been just putting all that stuff in the room and the closet's been empty and I've just been putting stuff back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One hanger at a time, one box at a time. Yeah. And it's been a crazy couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So probably 10 years ago, there was a season that I was in very high anxiety. I would have panic attacks, all this stuff. And I remember, and it's extremely graphic, but if you know me, I go there. But I had this image in my heart, in my mind, and I remember telling people, and their reactions were always just varied. Mm-hmm. I had this feeling where I felt like God was healing me from the inside. But before we could even get to that point, I felt like, and it's graphic, so just brace yourself, that I had a knife like shoved in my heart, ripped open, and all of the ugly, I know it's graphic, all of the ugly had to come out. And during that time, I know it's weird and it's graphic, but it all was coming out. And so it was scary and like, what is all this? But it was cathartic, getting it all out. So in essence, it was pulling everything out of the closet and just taking inventory of what was really in there. And at that time for me, God was like, this doesn't belong. This doesn't belong. Get rid of this. This is dear to us. To me in the Lord. And so this belongs here. And then he was allowing him, as I would allow him in, he was renewing me. He was healing me from the inside out. So again, it is graphic, but I have this scar, so to speak, of things in my past that I don't know if I would ever hide the scar. The stuff, the baggage in my history coming through trauma, whatever that looks like, be it divorce or physical ailment or losing relationships or family members or whatever it is. It's honestly, it's scary in the moment. And that, like she talked about, like you feel like you're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. But she has made strides in this past year and she is not the woman that she was a year ago or 2 years ago. Praise the Lamb. But same here. And so coming back to where we are today is like, we're just a healthier, I feel healthier than even than I was last week. Because again, we didn't know what we were getting into with this, and then coming here and just being allowed or feeling free from inside just to come to the table with friends is just so liberating, including what's going on. And so I was just wrapped up in what would the response be. And it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. We had plenty of naysayers about our video and what are you doing and why are you doing this and what is your motive or your intention? Like, why are you doing this? And that's between God and us and what he's called us to do. So it's just a little thought that I had.
Yeah, we got some feedback on crotch razor burn.
For sure, crotch razor burn. I I don't know how to talk about that because I just don't. There's some about co-parenting. I have plans for that. I've never co-parented, so I can't really speak into that. But God has given us resources, so that the person that asked about that, you will be hooked up here pretty soon. What else did people ask about to talk about?
I'm not sure, but I can't really remember. But I will say this: a lot of it had to do with how do we act in the world?
Right.
Like, what are the things that we do to make our lives easier, better, more comfortable? And I will say this, and this will lay the foundation for every single thing you do. It's that you have to weigh your motive. What is the motive behind what I'm doing? So like when you talk about co-parenting or when you talk about being in a marriage, when you talk about being a parent, anything that has to do with being in a relationship, what is your motive? Am I doing this to get something out of it? Or am I doing this because my heart is good and Jesus is going to be reflected in what I'm doing? And so I know for me, when I am walking in the Spirit and just allowing Jesus to direct my steps, what ends up happening is I give out of the overflow. I give out of the overflow, and my motive is good. Whereas when I'm depleted, what will end up happening is I'm just trying to tolerate the situation. How can I make this as hostage negotiation-y as possible? And is that I made up a word?
It's fine. We're tracking. Keep going. Don't.
And it's like, how can I get out of this situation as best as I possibly can without anybody getting their feathers ruffled? When in actuality, Jesus never worried about ruffling feathers because he was walking in the Spirit. And it came down to, I am just going to live out of truth, and I'm going to leave the ramifications with you. So I'm going to live out of my truth. And if that hurts you, then that gives you an opportunity to sit in your pain so that you can figure out where that pain is coming from. But in our society, we are so concerned about how others feel and about all those things. And we want to make it good for them. We don't want them to be mad with us. We don't want them to be upset. When in actuality, that's on them. And it's an opportunity for Jesus to come to them in that situation. All we can do is live out of the truth and the joy of the Holy Spirit.
Well, and when that happens, one thing that I've been able to say to myself that helps to set boundaries, honestly, because I try to take on the reactions of others based on what I do. I try to take that on and change what I'm doing to suit their reaction, like she said. So one thing that's really helped me is to say, that's you, not me. And I don't say that to them. If I had to, I could. But in my brain, in my heart, I'm like, that's her, not me. It helps my parenting. Like my kids or one of my kids having a meltdown about something that it's not worth dying over. It's not worth charging them out and about. And I'm like, well, that's him, not me. I'm going to let him work that out because that, at the end of the day, that's going to help him, his confidence, his self-confidence, his decision-making, his conflict resolution, all of that, that's him, not me. Self-soothing, for sure.
Instead of expecting it from others.
Honestly. And there's so much we do that we try to just tiptoe around others, and that's not living. That's not living life. Jesus dove in, and him doing that and living just in that intimate connection with the Father, like he ruffled so many feathers. He
ruffles mine all the time.
But that's where the joy is, And so that's when we're here and just allowing him to do what he does. And so there's going to be things that probably get said that might ruffle your feathers, and hey, this is a safe place for that. So,
but if it does, though, let me say this though: sit in it. If your feathers feel ruffled from us or from something someone else says to you, sit in it. Figure out why did it ruffle your feathers. Because it may be something completely unfounded. And you're just like, this is just bull honky. Or, is it hockey? Honky.
She just said a cuss word.
Is it honky
It's
or
not
hockey?
sitting well with me. It's bull honky? Bull hockey. That's crap. It's bull crap.
And anywho, watch your tongue. I'm just kidding. We went dark again. So sit with it and just figure out. And a lot of times when we think that it is crap, that is our defense mechanism, not allowing us to go to the deeper places that Jesus wants us to go. So sit in it. fight your defense mechanisms, surrender them. You can't fight them. You have to surrender them is what you have to do. And just go before God and just ask him, why did this not sit well with me? And I was just telling Tasha that, speaking of all of this, I was just telling her that, one of the most life-altering things I ever did was I read a book by Joyce Meyer. It's called Battlefield of the Mind. If you haven't read it, you need to get on that business. So I don't know why I said it like
You're so hip. She's so hip and relevant.
Anywho.
Cool.
Anywho. So cool. And so one of the things that she talks about is think about what you're thinking about. And to me, I was like, that is stupid. What does that even mean? You can't think about what you think about. Well, actually, the thing about that is that our thoughts just run rampant all the time. For sure. And we think that just because we think it, it's truth. And here's the thing. Just because I think it, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true, because I am a fallible human being, and my perception of the world and my circumstances around me are so small in comparison to the greater thing that's going on around me. I'm only going to see this minute little nugget of it. And so I will never forget. It was like 10 years ago. I was cleaning my bathroom. And you know how when you're like cleaning your bathroom or vacuuming or doing dishes, you're just kind of in your head and you're just thinking. These are when I have my great epiphanies, in the shower and in doing chores. So anyway.
I don't clean, so.
She doesn't.
I just shower.
Have you seen this place?
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, and I'll just never forget having a thought cross my mind that absolutely rocked me to my core. And I just remember thinking, man, that really sucks. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, is that true? Yeah. And here's what I realized. If it causes me to have fear, if it causes me to look away from Jesus so that I can sit on it and stew about it, then it's not from God. Oh. And at that moment, if I realize that it is a thought that is not from God, it is my responsibility, not my choice, but my responsibility to kick that thought out and then turn it into the truth. So say you're having a really bad day and your kid has pooped his diaper, taken the diaper off, and has done some wall graffiti with contents of said diaper. Not that that's ever happened to me. But anyway, at that moment, you're like, I'm just a bad mom. I can't even keep my kid with their diaper on, man. Whose kid does this? And you've got all these thoughts of, if I was a better mom, this kid would be able to, handle pooping responsibly or whatever. And at that moment, it is your responsibility to say, no, it's not that I'm a bad mom. It's just that my kid has made a choice. They know better. I have done my responsibility. I love this kid, and now I'm going to guide this child into understanding that, this isn't what we do. Yeah. And it's for their benefit. And so you have to flip it, and don't allow any voice in your head to become the louder voice than Jesus's. Yeah. Yeah. And you can't.
Well, in that kind of situation, for me, it looks a little differently. I don't always go right to, I'm the failure. It's, I need help. I need this. This is why I don't need to be home. Like, my kid is the worst kid. Blah, blah, blah. Dad put the pull-up on wrong or the diaper on wrong or whatever. And I start
He's such a jerk.
He's such a, why? He's at work with the grown-ups and I'm home with the kids, for example. Just saying. But the thing is like, my help is not out there. Whether Dad put the diaper on right, or if someone rescued me at that moment, nanny walked through the door, whatever, I still have control over my thoughts, how it makes me feel, like how I choose to react and respond to the situation. And in that moment, that kid knows that they've done something wrong. The way we feel about it influences that child. They pick up on that emotional whatever we're going through. So we can come in there with anger and condemnation and just being pissed off. You know what I mean? Frankly, that's where I'm at, frustrated. Or I can be like, and we handle it and we don't do it. This is not what we do. And we can talk through that. And this is not coming from, like, I know how to do it. It's always after the fact that I realize, like, oh, I didn't handle that right. And I have to go back. Like, Mommy didn't say that right. Mommy was being mean or whatever. Or adjust it to whatever. If it's at work, you respond wrong to maybe a critique you got or something like that. It's Go back to the foundation. Like, what is the belief? Are you a bad mom? Is your kid bad? No, they pooped in their diaper. Did you do something wrong at work? Maybe own up to it and just let's keep going, because it's messy. It's all messy. And the thing about it is like, think about what you're thinking about. What that also does is that brings you back to the present moment. Mm-hmm. There you are right there. You're out of your head, and you're here with that poop. You know what I mean? Or you're here with whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you give space, you leave room for the Holy Spirit to come speak to you, regardless of, even, let's just say you're on the fence, like, about this whole God thing anyway. You still come present. And I believe that in that moment, the Holy Spirit is beckoning you, is calling you to just relax, to peace, to just taking a moment to breathe. There is help. Yeah. There's help in friends. There's help, obviously, out there. You just have to be willing to choose the good thought, and walk in it, whatever it is. And your knees might buckle and you might be afraid, but you just get after it. I'm going to tell that story. I've got a friend who, she'll watch this and she's probably going to be mad that I'm telling her. I'm not going to say her name, but she went to this camp recently. It's family camp, like out in the woods somewhere. Anyway, they did this ropes course. Well, she had to climb this huge, like, telephone pole, and she was hooked up, what'd you call that, a harness? She was hooked up on a harness thing, and there are these, like, metal hooks. And so she was like, it was so high in the air, and she's like, I had to grab these metal hooks, and she was like, I was so afraid. And I was sweaty, and it wasn't even hot outside, and I get up there, and you could see her friend from below was taking a video, and she was terrified. And then she did the zip line thing. And when she's telling me this story, like, she's sitting up straighter, and she's got more energy. She's so proud of herself. She did it, and she did it scared. And, like, to be that, like, that's a moment that she was present. She was very aware of every single sensation. She could have freaked out. Sorry, my Invisalign, I'm bubbling here.
She didn't take them out for us this time. Anyway.
She could have freaked out and climbed back down, which, Lord knows, I've done it. Hello. Or she could have just been paralyzed and waited for someone to come rescue her. But she took... she took control of it. And, like, so she goes on the zip line and goes down. She's terrified the whole time. And she's like, what is that noise that came out of my mouth? And then when she found center, she let go. And she's just flying through the air. And it was so cool to see that. And that's just such a picture of what goes on. Like, life is a free fall, and we can be in our brain, like, scared of what's going to happen, or what are we going to hit on the way down, or are we going to hit bottom, or we can just enjoy it. And I know that's a very, like, probably Tasha phrase, but it's just so, there's just freedom there. So when you can think about what you're thinking about, get present, and just enjoy the moment, like, gosh, and for me, it's such a pendulum swing, because half the time I'm, like, white-knuckling it the whole time.
Right.
And the other half, I'm just in my head. I'm gone,
Hold on 5 years while we overthink this.
For real. That's where I live.
That's what we do.
Hold on 5 years.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It stinks. Overthink it. And we make it so much more difficult than it has to be. And I am married to a doer. Like, he doesn't think about anything. He just does it. And so then there's me who'll think 5 years and then do it. Maybe. And so he's like, sometimes you just got to do it. And the thing is that there is a middle ground.
Yeah, sure.
You do need to be responsible. You need to think responsibly.
Drink responsibly as well. So,
come on, 5 cups. So I'm on cup number 2. But think responsibly. I mean, just. My granddaddy used to always say, if you drink coffee, it's going to put hair on your chest. And then he also said it was going to stunt my growth. So I really thought I was going to be a very, very hairy little person.
You almost said midget. That's not PC. Is that?
I'm so sorry, she said.
Is that offensive? Is that a derogatory term?
That is offensive.
It used to not be.
You're going to hurt some millennial's little heart.
I didn't mean it offensively. I'm just old. And I didn't know. Jose yells at me all the time because I've said it, just like this, but little person. What were you saying? You're going to be a hairy, small person?
Yeah, for drinking coffee.
I'm sorry.
Edit!
When we have a volunteer editor that can tell us how to edit, we'll edit
Get right
this
on
out.
that. Get right on that.
I just don't know if it's offensive or not because I need to know why. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing. Can I tell you a story?
Okay.
So there's a girl I used to work with, and she literally had no idea that it was weird to call black people colored people. So to this day, which like was a few months ago or a year ago, she would call black people colored people until someone told her that was not okay. And she comes to me and she's so apologetic, and I just thought it was funny. It wasn't offensive to me. It was just funny, and I know there are some out there that might be offended to be called a colored person, but she literally had no idea. She was ignorant of it. So it wasn't malicious intent. Hey, we're coming back. Her motive wasn't to be offensive, and so my motive wasn't to be offensive. I just still... Yeah. I guess I should do some research. I should think on that.
But you're only 33% black. Are you allowed to say that?
I'm colored. I have different colors. The crayons are different colors.
I have different colors. I mean, like, I have different colors all over me.
Shut up.
I've got to do 23andMe.
You do.
I'm not even kidding you. When I was in 7th grade, some little punk boy kid...
That's offensive.
...came up to me.
He could have been...
Well, he was a punk. And he came up to me and he was like, you know, you used to be black, but you tripped and fell and broke your pigment. And I was like, here's the deal. You don't even know what pigment is. Stop trying to act like you're...
That's comedy. You're broke. You're like you're black. Okay.
Yeah. And then later I heard Chris Rock say black don't crack. So then I was like, then that's not what happened.
I'm actually 85 years old, but black don't crack.
I'm cracking all over.
Years. We're not talking about your bones, Grandma. Get it? Cracking? Okay. What else? What were you saying?
I don't even know. Why did this come out to be so racially...
Because we're mean.
Racially motivated something.
Because I said the M word.
M? Oh, you said midget.
Hey, look, here's Bobby. So...
He came running at me. Is he gonna attack me?
You look like a piece of meat. Anyway,
yeah. So anyway, I was just talking about how we have to think responsibly and not overthink things because that's not what God intended. He talks about not worrying. He talks about not being anxious. And as long as we overthink, then that's what we're going to do. And it's going to keep us from doing the things that he's calling us to do. Because I don't know about you, but I am a master rationalizer.
Oh, yeah. That's why I start a new diet every Monday. And then usually by Tuesday, I'm like, oh, well, we've got this thing going on, and I'll start next Monday. I rationalize it out. I'm sorry, but that's not where you're going.
It's truth.
Yeah.
It's
well,
true.
And we do
rationalize everything.
If we can make it okay to not feel the pain of whatever it is that we're running from, then we're gonna rationalize it out.
Right.
The pain of discipline or eating healthier foods rather than
stop talking about me.
Stuff.
I'm sitting right here.
Or whatever the pain that you've got that you're running from.
Yeah.
It is what we do. And so for those of you that feel like you can't do it alone or that you're alone, you're just going to have to step into the perceived pain because honestly, your fear of the thing is probably larger than the thing actually would be.
Is.
But if you just get out and make friends or do the thing that you're afraid
do the
of,
hard thing.
Get out of your brain and just get into the present moment and then just do the next right thing.
Yeah.
I will say when Jose and I were separated, during that time, I had no idea what we were doing, and I just felt like God was like, just do this next thing. Like, I was too busy trying to live over here, and I was all in my head, and just do the next right thing, and gosh, now I look back, I'm like, I had no idea during that time that he was doing all of this work in me,
Right. It's crazy.
So, yeah.
My daddy used to have a sign on a poster. My father had a poster in his office that said, the fastest way to get done is to get started. So,
that's good.
If you want to live over here, you got to take the first step over here. Hey, the cat wants to scratch some stuff.
It's a scratching post under the desk here.
It's all cool.
He's sharpening
It's a family thing.
So
anyway, my advice to you guys, seriously, because I know this is what's helpful for me, and Tasha and I have talked about this relentlessly, endlessly, all the lesslies, is to just go there with God, figure out what is the thing. What is the thing? What is the thing that you think about constantly that is just nagging you, that is just haunting you? Go there with God.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and get it over with. just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And because I know for me, and I know we're running close on time, so I'll just share this one little thing. But we do the Enneagram. It's not a personality test. It's more of a it really tells you what the essence of what Shannon is made of, the essence of Tasha, and then it's like the ocean, and then your personality is the waves that come from the ocean, and so that's where your personality comes from, and it's the mask basically that you put on top of your essence of who you are. So anyway, that's just a little rundown. So if you ever want to look up the Enneagram, it's great. So anyway, I know for me, I took the Enneagram, and it gives you a percentage of like how healthy you are in each personality type. And all of mine were very unhealthy. And I remember it was a spiritual director. His name was Jim. And I will never forget him looking at my numbers going, wow, they're all really high. And that was his way of saying, girl, you jacked up.
In a spiritual way.
In a spiritual, directorial way.
Girl, you crazy. Issues.
I gotta go because there's gonna be lightning coming out of this.
Issues.
I got issues. I did too. And he looked at me, and the thing that you have to know about my personality type is that, and Tasha and I actually have the same personality type according to the Enneagram.
Enneagram
Girl,
7s.
we a 7.
We 7s.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that? Praise hands.
Praise spirit fingers.
Anyway, so 7s, the thing about us is that when painful things happen, we do not want to sit in it. It's like, get me out of here as fast as I possibly can. I'm not going to heal. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to run.
Distract.
I'm going to run. Hey, where's my phone?
Right.
Let me look at Facebook. Hey, let me get in somebody else's business. Let me go shopping.
Preach.
We are the 7s are like the best ones to be an addict.
Yeah.
Because we want to self-soothe so bad to get away from our problems.
And we're gluttonous. So we take in all of everything as much as we can, just more. We feast, so to speak, on the distraction to keep us from the pain. So anyway,
it's terrible.
Terrible. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, he looked at me and he was like, there is one thing that you are running from. And if you figure out that one thing, it's going to change all of these numbers and you will be more healthy in every single number. But it's one thing affecting all 9 of your numbers. And it was like, huh. And I remember my heart just kind of fell into my feet. You know that feeling that you get and you're like, and it's almost like I want to vomit and pass out all at the same time. I don't really know what's happening to me right now. And then he put his hand on my shoulder and said, I promise you, whatever that thing is, it will not overtake you.
Yeah.
And that's always been the fear. I mean, for 7s, for our personality type, and it might be for you, it could be other personality types as well. But just thinking about that thing, that it would ultimately just take us out. If we were to go there with God, we feel like it would just take us out. But the thing is that our God is a loving God. And that's not his business to take us out. He's not in the business of taking us out.
Well, and what you'll find is when you press in, he's already there. Yeah. And he's waiting for you, not with condemnation, not with guilt, not with anything other than pure love. So he's waiting to embrace you. And he's like, this hurts like hell. That's why I'm here. That's why you can't run from it. You can distract. You can do whatever you try to do. But this is what we're going to deal with. And he's there with you. And so it will not overtake you. It didn't overtake her.
And I did it.
So you do it. Just press into it. And there's always something on this side of eternity. Like we're in a wrecked, broken world. But there is hope. There is hope.
Yeah.
And
listen, so I do want to say this real fast. And, just like we talked about that process or whatever, we understand because we are in it right now with you that things sometimes are not fine.
Yeah.
They're not okay.
Right.
But it's okay that it's not okay. because it will be okay. It will be fine.
Mm-hmm. It will be fine.
It will be fine.
Oh, wait, we're supposed to say it will be fine. Oh. And you're not alone in it. So we're together. Right. That's why we're here, because it is fine.
It's fine.
I don't...
We suck at this!
Hold on. No. 1, 2... Okay, we're going to count to 3, and then I'm going to hit stop as soon as... Okay. You count, and I push. 1. What are we doing?
We're going to say it's fine. Y'all say it with us. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Please don't. People are going to think you're a freak.
I'm just going to hit stop pretty soon.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
It's fine.